There's a word in Japanese, karoshi. It means death from overwork. It's in the English dictionary now, Oxford, Merriam-Webster, both of them, because the concept was so specifically, so uniquely Japanese that the English language just gave up trying to translate it and borrowed the word directly. Let that sink in for a second. The English language, in which has a word for everything, looked at this phenomenon and said, "We don't have anything for this, just take the Japanese word." That's where we're starting today. Before we get to the death, we need to talk about the company, because without understanding what Dentsu is, none of this makes sense. Dentsu is Japan's largest advertising agency. And when I say largest, I don't mean slightly ahead of the competition. I mean, they control roughly half of all television advertising in Japan. Every commercial you see on Japanese TV, roughly 1 out of every 2 of them flows through Dentsu. They decide what gets made, what gets seen, and who gets paid. But it goes deeper than that. Dentsu has historical ownership stakes in Japan's 2 major wire services, the companies that supply news to basically every newspaper and broadcaster in the country. They don't just control what people buy, they have structural influence over what people hear about. In France, a journalist once asked a former advertising industry insider how this works in practice. The answer was, when a major client has a problem and the media starts covering it, Dentsu doesn't call the editor. They call the sales department, very politely. They ask if perhaps the coverage could be a little more restrained. Maybe move to the evening edition where fewer people read it. The sales department passes the message to the editorial team. Nobody shouts. Nothing is written down. It just happens. Toyota's recall scandal, one of the biggest automotive crises in history, was barely covered in Japan until the CEO had already testified before the US Congress, and the story was international news. At that point, Japanese media couldn't ignore it anymore. The Fukushima nuclear meltdown. Tokyo Electric Power, one of Dentsu's biggest clients, was spending over 20 billion yen a year on advertising. In the weeks after the disaster, Japanese media reported there had been no meltdown, that radiation was not dangerous, that evacuation was unnecessary. None of that was true. So, that's Dentsu, the company that makes sure Japan sees what Japan is supposed to see. Now let's talk about what it was like to work there. Dentsu had something called the Oni Jusoku, the 10 Commandments of the Demon, written by the company's 4th president in the 1950s and treated for decades as sacred corporate scripture, printed and posted on walls, recited by employees. Here are some highlights. Work is something you create, not something you are given. Fine, reasonable, motivational poster stuff. Take on difficult work. That is where progress lives. Also fine. Once you've committed to something, don't let go. Even if you're killed, don't let go. Not until the goal is achieved. I'm sorry, even if you're killed, that's not a motivational poster, that's a threat. And then there is number 6. Drag those around you. Because those who drag are infinitely superior to those who are dragged. This is a company that told its employees in writing as official policy. Your job is to drag other people. If you are not dragging someone, you are being dragged. There is no middle ground, there is no rest. And number 10, don't fear friction. Friction is the mother of progress. Translation: if what you're doing is hurting people, that's progress. Keep going. This was the culture, this was the scripture, and for decades, nobody said anything. because Dentsu controlled half the advertising in the country and the wire services that fed the news, and there was simply nowhere for the story to go. In spring 2015, a 24-year-old woman named Takahashi Matsuri joined Dentsu as a new employee. She grew up with her mother, just the two of them, and she still got into the University of Tokyo, Japan's Harvard. In a country where a single entrance exam defines your entire future, she passed it. She was smart. She was driven. She had worked for everything she had. Her mother had worried about Dentsu. She'd read online about the culture, the hours, a previous death. She told Matsuri she was concerned. Matsuri said, "Finance, trading companies, government, medicine, they're all brutal. I've always pushed through hard things. I'll be fine." She was not fine. Within months of joining, her overtime hours exploded. The official record showed she was working 69.9 hours of overtime per month, just under the legal limit of 70 hours. Convenient number, suspiciously convenient. When investigators later pulled the actual building entry and exit records, the real figure for the month before she died was over 130 hours of overtime, more than double what was officially reported. In Japan, overtime hours were self-reported by employees. Dentsu knew exactly what that meant. Meanwhile, her manager was delivering feedback like this: "Your 20 hours of overtime this week were a waste for the company." Falling asleep in meetings shows you can't manage yourself. Your capacity is too small. If you find this workload hard, that's your problem. Come to work with your hair done. Don't show up with bloodshot eyes. You have no feminine energy. She was posting on social media in real time. The words got darker and darker. The work I spent my holiday making was torn apart. My body and mind are in shreds. She emailed a senior colleague. "I've started noticing bridges that would be good for dying." On Christmas morning 2015, she unalived herself at her company dormitory. She was 24 years old. Her final message to her mother: "I love you so much, Mom. Thank you for everything. Work and life, all of it is so painful. Please don't blame yourself. You're the best mother anyone could have." Here's where it gets particularly ugly. Dentsu's initial response was to let it be known, quietly through back channels to people who knew Matsuri, that the real cause of her death was a breakup with a boyfriend. Personal problems. Nothing to do with work, individual issue. The company had self-reported overtime records showing she was just under the legal limit every single month. Neat, clean, perfectly calibrated numbers. The actual building record showed 130 hours. When the case finally became public and the Labor Inspection Bureau got involved, Dentsu was found guilty of violating labor laws. The company was fined. The fine was the equivalent of about $4,000 for one of the most powerful media companies in Japan. $4,000. The manager who had told Matsuri her overtime was a waste, who had commented on her hair, who had called her capacity insufficient, was referred for prosecution, then not prosecuted, because investigators determined the long hours were a company-wide system, not an individual decision, which is true, and also the most damning possible outcome. Not one person did this, the whole machine did this. Now, here is the part that should make you put down whatever you're holding. This was not the first time. In 1991, 24 years earlier, a young male employee at Dentsu unalived himself after working 147 hours of overtime in a single month. His family sued. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court of Japan. The Supreme Court ruled that Dentsu bore responsibility. The company settled. They issued a statement promising to take worker health seriously and implement real changes. Then they posted the 10 Commandments back on the wall, 15 years after the Supreme Court ruling. Almost to the year, Matsuri Takahashi died under nearly identical circumstances at the same company in the same city for the same reasons. And here's the question nobody in Japanese media asked, because Japanese media had its own reasons for not asking hard questions about Dentsu. What happened in between? Nothing happened. Karoshi, death from overwork. It's in the English dictionary because the English language ran out of ways to describe it. Japan has a law that officially recognizes karoshi as a cause of death. Not as a metaphor, not as a shorthand, as a legal category. The government formally acknowledges that people die from working too much. They have a certification process, and it keeps happening. After Matsuri's death, Japan passed new labor reform laws, overtime caps, mandatory rest periods, enforcement mechanisms. Her mother, Yukimi, has spent the years since her daughter died answering messages on social media from workers across Japan saying, "This is happening to me too. I don't know what to do." She responds to everyone. She tells them, "You are not weak. The company is wrong. Please rest." 10 years after Christmas 2015, she published a letter. It said, "People keep dying the way Matsuri died. I don't want anyone else to go through what we went through." The company that makes half of Japan's commercials, that has structural influence over the news agencies that feed every broadcaster in the country, that told its employees in writing to keep going even if they're killed, paid a $4,000 fine. The 10 Commandments were finally removed from Dentsu's walls after Matsuri died. They had been there for 60 years. Like and subscribe. And take your vacation days. Matsuri didn't get to.